Welcome back, the best doula in the country. It's Nicolette. Yeah.
Thanks, Delana.
Skin to skin has been a topic that has come up before in our previous podcasts. I've just had a cesarean. I want to hold my baby. With my first baby, I was allowed to have skin to skin. They gave me the baby immediately. It was a well baby. With my second baby, they gave me the baby, and then they said, I heard someone say, baby's turning gray, and they took her from me, and I only saw her the next day. Yeah. When is skin to skin post-birth allowed? Is it a hospital thing? Do I ask for it?
Ilana, it is something that we do discuss with moms prenatally, and we do suggest that they actually put it on their birthing plan because it is different depending on the hospital you're at, depending on the type of birth that you have. But in an ideal world, you would want your baby to be skin to skin immediately because it's the place that is the most comforting for baby because it's the most like where it's been for the past 9 months.
I remember having my baby. She was prem. And I got to hold her, and when she turned gray, they took her. And when they whisked her off without explaining why, other than, Mommy, I think baby's going to need some TLC, I remember saying to my husband, go with them, go with them. Is that a thing? Do we want partner to go with baby out of fear that they will swap her around? I don't know. There's crazy things that goes through your head at that stage, right? So do I send my spouse, partner, husband with them, or is it okay for them to take unwell baby to take care of her?
We usually do send the dads with the baby. There are a number of reasons. I don't think you need to worry about your baby being swapped with another baby. I think that's quite an old-fashioned thing, but I think people do still think it. But yeah, we do tend to send dad with baby. And you might remember from our previous podcast that that's why I'm a doula, because the mom does get left alone in theatre then, and it's a time when she could really do with some company.
When does the first feed happen? I can't remember when they gave me my baby for the first time to feed. So now you have the baby. When the baby doesn't always cry, they've just been born. When do I give the first feed?
Okay, so if you are allowed to do skin to skin immediately, your baby is a very clever little being, and it will actually start giving you signs that it is hungry, and we call those signs rooting. It does a couple of things. One of the things it does is it starts sticking its tongue in and out of its mouth, and the other thing that it does is it turns its head towards the mother's breast. And those are two of the signs that you can look for. You shouldn't really wait until your baby's crying because that's actually too late. A baby will really struggle to latch while it is crying. You need to actually learn to recognize those cues so that you can actually latch them before they do start crying. But yes, your baby will let you know, and it's a very gentle process. You need to have baby comfortable and warm against your chest, skin to skin, but I put the baby so that it can automatically feed by itself. There's actually a thing that your listeners should go and look up. It's called the breast crawl. It's absolutely amazing. It's about how babies will actually get to your breast and feed by themselves without any assistance.
Bleeding after giving birth, that pad.
Yeah. Okay,
where and how, and also when you've had a cesarean, your lower body can't move.
So let's talk natural birth. You are going to bleed. We always prepare moms for how much blood there is during labor and birth, but there's also a lot of blood afterwards. Up to 6 weeks, bleeding is quite normal, but obviously it starts heavy and it becomes lighter and lighter and lighter. I always have a little internal giggle because the moms talk about how big those pads are. What they don't know is that you wear 2 of them at the same time because that's how much you bleed initially. So along with that, I always recommend that the moms don't even bother putting on pajama pants because they are just going to end up with blood on them. And yes, you're right. If you've had a Caesar, your mobility is a little bit limited, and you will have a nurse coming in and pulling the blankets away and checking your pads for bleeding and seeing if they need to be changed. So yeah, like you said, that is something that moms should be aware of.
When does the catheter come out? And for moms who've had C-section, when do they actually get up for the first time? And do you just decide to do this on your own? Or do the nurses say, hey, get up, it's time to go?
Okay. So before I directly answer your question, I just want to throw in there that if you have an epidural, during a natural birth, you also have a catheter put in, which most moms are unaware of. So it's not only with Caesars that you have the catheter. with a cesarean, they generally keep the catheter in until the next day. So it's about 24 hours. They do that so that you can get up and go to the toilet by yourself before they remove the catheter. So generally, if you have your Caesar on Monday morning, on Tuesday morning, they will remove the catheter and they will help you go and have your first shower. You are obviously going to be a little bit wobbly. You do have a wound that's got stitches in it, and everything is feeling a little bit strange. They are desperate to hear that you have made a wee. So they will be asking you that all the time. But yeah, so you do have the catheter in, and the catheter will be removed probably within the first 24 hours, a little bit sooner if it is a natural birth that you've had the catheter in because of the epidural.
A lot of moms have talked about baby and pressure, right? And how we actually can't go to the loo. And I'm not talking about pee, I'm talking about poo.
Yeah, I find that the moms really battle to have that first bowel movement.
Right.
Especially if they've been a bit constipated during the pregnancy. They will often ask their gynae to prescribe something to assist with it afterwards. But if you think about it, especially during a Caesar, they move all your internal organs around while they're doing the operation, and everything's got to settle back into place. And I can remember it now, 12 years later, how painful that first bowel movement was. And it's not fun. And I think it's important that moms do know that they are made aware of that, because it's so sore that you actually think that you're breaking. You think that you're going to need to go back to hospital. Just the moms do need to be aware of that. It's one of those things we don't really talk about much.
Breastfeeding. Okay, so that's something that they're going to... I remember there being a chair in my room when I gave birth. Do you breastfeed in the bed, or do you choose the chair already?
Okay, so I recommend that once you can get out of bed, that you do practice breastfeeding in the chair, because it's very easy to get used to the mechanics of the bed and use the bed to help you position yourself, because the back of the bed can lift up and down and your knees can be bent. So you're not going to have that once you get home. So you're almost creating a crutch that you're not going to have once you go home. So I recommend go and sit in the chair. That's the most likely to have one like that at home. Right. And yes, the whole breastfeeding thing, there are often lovely lactation consultants in the hospital, but you're getting advice from so many different people, because you have people leaving and then a next shift coming in, leaving and then the next shift coming in. So sometimes we do actually advise clients to seek out a lactation consultant before they do have their babies. Some of the lactation consultants prefer to do a preventative session. And then if you do struggle afterwards, you've got a person on the other end of your phone that you know and that you understand their way. Alternatively, it's very important right from the very beginning to find a breastfeeding clinic that's close by, because more often than not, there isn't a problem, but moms honestly think that they are having problems all the time with their breastfeeding.
What about visitors? I mean, I had people knocking. I think I've told this story 100 times. If you've listened to any of our podcasts, you'll remember me complaining about how there was a knock on the door every 5 minutes. How do you limit visitors?
Okay, so just quickly, laser on your breasts can really be handy in terms of pain management, because some moms do struggle a little bit with pain, and that is something that you should definitely have done in hospital before you leave. So if you are unaware of that, or if it's not offered to you, you can ask for it. But yes, visitors, it's the one thing that I've liked about COVID is that visitors have been kept out, because, everybody is so well-meaning, but I've walked into rooms for a quick postnatal visit, and there's been auntie and mom and great-grandmother, and everybody has their own advice and frowning at their own things, and then the mom feels self-conscious to feed, and that's really not the time for that sort of feeling. The mom should be able to sit in her room naked, baby skin to skin, feed baby when she needs to, not when she doesn't. And yes, you are also allowed to ask them to put a do not disturb sign on the door. It can be very, very disruptive that you end up with so many different people coming in, and a lot of them have to come in. They do need your food preferences, and they do need to clean the bins. That's their job. But they do actually have a couple of do not disturb signs. So you could put one of those on the door, ask them to give you 3 hours and have some sleep during that time.
Your role in life and your job is a calling, and you give a lot of reassurance to a lot of people. And I want to thank you for your time, because honestly, this is knowledge and experience that, because you're a good person, you're willing to share with so many people, and you have no idea how much this means to me and to every mom. And you know what's interesting? Half of the stuff I didn't do, right? And my baby is now 4.
Yeah.
But just the fact that we can talk about it and give it to someone else makes me feel so happy.
Yes.
It makes me feel happy that you don't have to make some of the mistakes that I made. You'll make new mistakes, which you'll also find helpful. And then we'll have conversations about it. And then we'll have someone like Nicolette that will help us. So thank you so much for your time.